Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack something truly fascinating in the world of early childhood education. Now, if you've ever tried to teach someone the English alphabet, you know for a fact that somewhere around the end, things get, well, a little tricky. But today, we're breaking down the unique pedagogical brilliance of the letter X lesson plan. This is sourced directly from the Elementary Education Explorer curriculum, and their approach is brilliantly titled XX is for Exploring Excellence. Right off the bat, let's look at how they actually define this overarching theme. The curriculum states that exploring excellence means asking questions, discovering new ideas, and always doing your best. The really crucial point here is how they reframe a notoriously difficult letter. Rather than just struggling to find words that start with X, they build the entire lesson around this incredibly empowering concept of excellence. It literally turns what is normally a pedagogical obstacle into an inspiring learning opportunity for young minds. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The challenge of letter X. 2. Mastering the X sound. 3. Building vocabulary and sentences. 4. Hands-on practice exercises. 5. Tracing and motor skills. And 6. Completing the A to Z milestone. Section 1. The challenge of letter X. Finding words that fit. Let's be honest, X is a total oddball in the English language, right? Teaching it requires a very specific strategy, and the source material explicitly acknowledges this challenge with this quote. Although X appears at the beginning of very few English words, it is found in many exciting words that children can learn. I absolutely love this pivot. The curriculum designers aren't trying to force an unnatural list of words that strictly start with X. Instead, they cleverly widen the lens. They focus on the exciting words where X is merely found somewhere inside it. That instantly opens up the vocabulary possibilities for a kindergarten student. Section 2. Mastering the KS sound. Meet the letter X. Now, before we get to those exciting words, this foundational step introduces X as a consonant. Visually, it's actually a fantastic letter for early learners. Because the uppercase and lowercase forms are identical in shape, they're just different in scale. And phonetically, the curriculum teaches that it usually makes the X sound. To really cement that sound, the lesson uses repetition. Just picture this: a whole classroom of kindergartners enthusiastically chanting this phrase together. X says X, X, X. It's active, it's highly vocal, and it builds an incredibly solid, memorable phonetic foundation that they're going to rely on as we move into the next stage of the lesson. Section 3, Building Vocabulary and Sentences, from Sounds to Context. Okay, here's where we see the scaffolding approach really come into action on the featured words chart. Here is a curated selection straight from the curriculum. X-ray, xylophone, fox, box, ox, explore, excellence. The strategic mix here is just brilliant. You have the classic words that actually start with X, like X-ray and xylophone. Then you have those highly recognizable, phonetically simple words that end in X, like fox, box, and ox. And finally, you get words like explore and excellence, which perfectly reinforce that overarching, empowering theme of the lesson. It's an incredibly deliberate and thoughtful vocabulary list. But you know what? We don't just stop at isolated words. The curriculum immediately contextualizes this vocabulary by dropping these featured words into simple sentences. For example, the fox ran across the field. By seeing the word fox in a full sentence, the child isn't just decoding letters anymore. It sparks a story in their mind and really begins to build real reading comprehension. It's a great reminder that true comprehension starts the very moment we contextualize facts. And then they take it a step further with sentences like this one. Exploring excellence helps us become confident learners. This brilliantly ties the mechanical vocabulary practice directly back into the empowering core theme of the entire lesson. They're learning to read, sure, but they're also reading a message that tells them they are capable and confident. That's a pretty powerful combination for a young mind. Section 4. Hands-on practice exercises. Applying the knowledge. Now, what's really interesting about this part is the exact pedagogical sequence the student follows to test their newly acquired skills. Look at this. Step 1. Circle the letter X. That's your basic visual recognition. Step 2. Match the word to the picture. This tests vocabulary and comprehension. Step 3. Fill in the missing letter. So this requires recall and spelling basics, like filling in the blank for ox or xylophone. And finally, Step 4. Read and color, where they read simple sentences like the fox is running and engage creatively. It gently, systematically guides the learner from simple identification all the way up to complex reading and interactive play. Section 5. Tracing and motor skills. Cementing the learning. As the final practical step in the lesson plan, students in the tracing module physically draw out the uppercase X and lowercase x, along with tracing the words X-ray, xylophone, fox, box, and ox. This deliberately reinforces both the physical shapes of the letters and the core vocabulary words the students literally just spent the lesson learning. By writing it out by hand, the phonetic sound, the visual shape, and the physical motion all lock together in the child's brain. As we wrap up the academic nuts and bolts of this specific letter, the curriculum provides this wonderfully uplifting sign-off: explore new ideas and excel every day. This is the branding motto from the curriculum's creator, Engage T Nuafor. It's such a positive, encouraging transition that reminds us of the ultimate goal behind all these phonetic chants and tracing exercises, doesn't it? Section 6. Completing the A to Z milestone, the bigger picture. Let's zoom out to the macro level for a second. Because after finishing the letter X, there is a very exciting number for anyone working through this series: 2. There are only 2 letters remaining to complete this massive A to Z curriculum milestone. And what are those final 2 letters? Y is for young achievers and Z is for zealous learners. You can see how they perfectly continue the brand's pattern of positive, empowering education. Just like exploring excellence, they're framing the end of the alphabet not just as simple letters to memorize, but as identities for the students to step into. It's an entire curriculum ready for posters, workbooks, and classrooms, built completely around lifting students up. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Seeing how thoughtfully crafted just one single letter can be, taking the tricky letter X and turning it into an engaging lesson on exploring excellence, well, it leaves us with a pretty compelling question. How will you use this complete A to Z curriculum to inspire your students to explore, discover, and excel? Because whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just someone fascinated by how we learn, the tools we use to teach really do matter. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.